The beautiful thing about the Ramayana and the Mahabharata is that they're timeless. Like, no matter when you read it, like if you read it when you were a 3-year-old, if you read it if you're a 30-year-old, or if you read it when you're 70, 80, you will always find something to catch on to, and you will always find something relatable. Rama then comes back, and when he's back, he has to lose Sita one more time. Again, it's a compromise between, do I put the kingdom above my wife? And I feel when I was in my younger days, I would tell that, hey, obviously your partner should come first. How can you? But now I feel as I'm older, you can start understanding the compromises we all make.
Rama looks so naive, incapable, very soft and unmanly, right? When Rama takes his bow and when he's standing, there is no god that can come and stop him. Like, that's how powerful he is.
A Sankarshan Joshi trip.
The last time you were on the podcast, I introduced you as the podcast favorite guest.
Yes.
By which I meant podcast host, the favorite guest. So, Vaishakh, it's always lovely to talk to you, and welcome back. This is your 4th time, is it?
5th time, no?
5th time?
Episode 1 in December of 2020.
Damn.
Yeah, can you imagine how we were back then? And like, I still had a goatee back then. My beard wouldn't grow properly. And we did a 2.5-hour podcast back then itself.
Yeah. I think that was the longest.
Yeah.
I think that came close to 3, no?
No. It was 2.5 hours.
Okay, that was the longest. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you guys don't know who Vaishakh Dutt is, he's a storyteller, he's a story writer, he's a director, he's a comedian, he's an improv comedian. He's also an engineer who's going to do masters. So, is there anything else, Vaishakh, that I missed?
Nothing else. The most handsome man in South Bangalore. That's something you could add on to. Only South Bangalore, I'm clarifying, because in Rajarajeshwari Nagar, which is little bit North Bangalore, there's Hucha Venkat. I'll lose out to him, so that's why to clarify South Bangalore.
Nice. How do you know the location of Hucha Venkat, Vaishakh?
Hey, you know what? Like, back in 2018, that's when like...
His prime.
Yeah, his prime, but my grandmom stays in Rajarajeshwari Nagar. And 2018 Karnataka state elections, we were discussing the candidates. Hucha Venkat is standing
for elections.
Independent candidate in Rajarajeshwari Nagar. You know his party symbol, Yakda.
No. Oh my god.
Yeah, actually. So that's when I knew, okay, this is his area.
Yeah. For all the ladies and gents who don't know who Hucha Venkat is, please go Google him.
Yes.
He is the man, the myth, the legend, the man who's beyond memes.
Yeah. The legend of my school days.
Yeah. Vaishakh, you were here 2021, right? The first time we did podcast, when was it? 2021?
2020, December of 2020.
Okay.
Your 4th or 5th episode, I think.
It's been how long, Vaishakh?
Yeah.
3 years, close to, like we're clocking 3 years.
Yeah.
Damn.
And imagine like how different things were. Like I told, my beard wouldn't grow properly. You had long hair. And right after then, like, we met again in your room. Your room was smaller than the studio here.
Yeah, yes.
And then now you're married, big studio. And like, it's good. Growth is always good.
We also have a sponsor for the podcast. Did you know?
Who's the sponsor?
Attention, all hiring managers, entrepreneurs and aspiring entrepreneurs. Are you tired of shifting through endless resumes that you get and scheduling interviews that never seem to end? Meet Pajama HR, the superhero of recruitment software that's trusted by over 3,000 businesses. With Pajama HR, you can wave goodbye to hiring headaches and hello to your dream team. From sourcing to assessment to scheduling offer rollouts, Pajama HR takes care of it all. Don't believe me? Try it out for yourself and join the Pajama Party. Create your account through our special link that's mentioned in the description box, or by typing pajamahr.com/Sankarshan Joshi. pyjamahr.com/SANKARSHANJOSHI. Here comes the rest of the episode.
Okay, thank you, Pajama HR.
So,
HR based tech
Vaishakh,
startup.
why I always love talking to you
Hmm.
on the podcast, off the podcast, online, offline, regardless. The thing is that every time we talk, it's basically we talk after a long time, and there is so much of evolution that happens internally in the time gap. So we spoke 3 years back, and in the podcast we spoke like 5 times, which has like minimum of 6 months to 8 months gap, right? And I
Yeah.
think from last time to now, I think it's been more than a year that we talked.
Back when you didn't have a wife, it was every
Yeah,
once in
it's
a month.
post-wife, post.
Yeah, now little bit I've come down.
But even before coming, like even on my way here, I was just thinking about all the topics that we spoke in the past and all the potential conversations that we have. It's very thought-provoking in a way, because every time we speak, my perspective changes completely. Like what matters to me the most, it evolves completely. So the first time that we spoke, I didn't even know who Jordan B. Peterson were, and we were having a conversation about rules, right? Do you remember that?
Yeah, I
I
remember.
was saying that rules is slightly constricting, and it sounds like a constraint, blah blah blah. And then after that, I binge watched all of Jordan B. Peterson's podcast, his lectures, all of that, and post that I got spiritually curious. I was reading the Bhagavad Gita. I was just talking to my dad about the gods, the perspectives. Me and you culturally we have the same perception of gods, right? So
We come from a very similar family.
Yeah.
Not only in terms of like religion and all of that, but also the environment, like the
yes.
family fights, how mom and dad fight
Yes.
together, how we are with siblings. It's very similar.
Yes,
Yeah.
culturally it's very similar, and we had a lot of discussion. Even on our previous podcast, we spoke about like the Hinduism, the avatars, like how it resembles the Charles Darwin's theory. Like that's one thing that I remember. I think that I posted that as a clip as well. So there's so much of conversation that we have, and this time it was super evident that I was gonna talk to you, because I've been diving very deep into Ramayana. So in the first podcast, we had a conversation about the Vali death, right? Like that segment of Ramayana. I think the second time you were on the podcast, we had a conversation about that. So
The second time we spoke of like how I feel Sita's story and
yes,
all of that. Yeah.
yes, and it's very beautiful the way how ever since I started like diving deep into Ramayana, right? I don't know why when I connected with you, I was like, this makes so much sense, because every time I'm getting deeper into something, we connect. I don't know how, like we just connect and we have conversation over that, right? I think from the past, like every day I'm spending like couple of hours into Ramayana, like understanding Ramayana. Like there's so much of depth to it, Vaishakh. Like that I haven't realized. So we come from the same background, and Rama was also human, right? So just his life, how he went through it, and when you see Valmiki's Ramayana, it's very human, because he brings out so many emotions in the way of in the way he's expressing the metaphors that he uses. It's very, very, very beautifully written as from like a poet standpoint, right? Like he very beautifully placed the shlokas, and there's so much of emotion that comes out of the characters that normally when we speak of Ramayana, we just speak like it's a God story, right? But when you actually sit and listen to Valmiki's Ramayana or read Valmiki's Ramayana, there is so much of emotion that comes out of Rama that it makes him less of a god and more of a man. Even though he is an incarnation of the god, like he lived like a man. And when you see that, there's so much of emotions that just strike a chord in you that you just connect with that character.
Yeah. And it doesn't matter how or where you read the Ramayana or how you heard the Ramayana, and be it Valmiki's Ramayana or Tulsidasa's Ramacharitra-manas, which is the more evident form of Ramayana that we're all familiar with, and even the Hanuman Chalisa. And Hanuman Chalisa, like if you understand it in terms of like in an actual, just sit down. It's basically like a love letter to Hanuman, and it's so beautiful. And so, or if you saw a cartoon growing up, or if you read Amar Chitrakathas like I did, it's the beautiful thing about the Ramayana and the Mahabharata is that they're timeless. Like, no matter when you read it, like if you read it when you were a 3-year-old, if you read it if you're a 30-year-old, or if you read it when you're 70, 80, you will always find something to catch on to, and you will always find something relatable. Back when I was a kid and I read the Ramayana and I heard the Ramayana, it was obviously Hanuman for me, and just the having a superhero in Hanuman, and the devotion and the power, and that would really excite me. And it was just a great time to there's a scene in the animated version of the Ramayana where just Hanuman grows in form, and then he just grows and he flies. And I have not had, like, even like Iron Man does not have shit on this. That's how I felt. And then coming back, if I revisit the Ramayana now, maybe a few years earlier, then I feel like I was thinking about what it means to be a man, and how do you have to be to a specific partner or anyone, right? And I then sort of saw Rama in a critical way, and sort of I tried to keep a very neutral standpoint and tried to see what if Rama did was right or wrong, especially with Sita. And it was because I was coming to terms with my own masculinity, and I was thinking, is it right to treat your partner like this, and is it right or wrong? And I feel that represented that stage of my life where I was young, coming to terms with my own ethics and all of that. And now if I revisit the Ramayana now that I'm much older, firstly, and secondly, I am mature and more mature than I was back then, and also I'm more closer with my father, and I'm more closely, like, I know the family dynamics more and all of that. I see my father in Rama, basically, or Rama in my father, because I'm sure, like, in all of our families we've had, and I feel like especially in a typical Indian household, and especially like from where we come from, we see our fathers doing a lot of compromises, especially between the wife and the mother. It's very common where the wife does not get along with the mother, and that's the context for all Saas Bahu serials and all of that, but but there's always some or the other conflict in the family, and I feel we do not appreciate how hard it is to handle everything, and how much effort our fathers put into holding the family together. I feel it goes unnoticed, and our fathers make a lot of compromises, and they have to make compromises with their mother, with their wife, try to keep the family together, mitigate fights, sacrifice a lot of their own dreams so that the others can be happy, right? And it's very simple. Like, in me and my dad, we were talking, and we're building a new house, and my dad is he is obviously proud of it, but he's not that interested in a new house. But he's doing it for my mom, because he feels like my mom needs a better house, a bigger house, so that she can, so, like, in that way, how selfless they are. And that's what even Rama did, right? And when his dad asked him to do that, and he had to basically put himself the last. And
Vaishakh, I'm telling you, when you just read that scene, when you listen to that entire dynamic that goes before Rama goes to forest, right? The entire, you're gonna have tears in your eyes, Vaishakh, because there is so much of dynamic that happens. Because when Kaikeyi goes and asks Dasharatha whole night, he's trying to convince Kaikeyi not to do this, because this is not right. Like, Rama has done nothing wrong for him to suffer this much of a punishment. This is not actually punishment for him, because it's a punishment for me. The moment Rama goes, I'll die, because I know that. I cannot live without Rama next to me. I know I will die. So there'll be blood on your hands. So that's what Dasharatha says, Kaikeyi. And whole night there is so much of conversation that happens, Vaishakh. Dasharatha faints 15 to 20 times. In the entire course of night, he gets so much of, he gets overwhelmed with emotions. He falls at the feet of Kaikeyi. Dasharatha is a king. He's falling at the feet of Kaikeyi. He faints there. He's trying to convince her so much. And then the next day, actually, Rama has to be the king, right? There's so much of preparation that's happening. Kausalya, the mother of Rama, she's so excited. Rama is so excited that he's going to be the king. And then, all the ministers of Dasharatha, right? After the night-long conversation between Kaikeyi and Dasharatha, the ministers come. The ministers come and they're trying to call Dasharatha out, and they're chanting a certain shlokas to call the king to this celebration, because everything is ready. Dasharatha isn't coming out. And the ministers go in. They just see the state in which Dasharatha is. He's on the floor. His face is fully tarnished with, when you see someone when they're emotionally hit, you can see it on their face, right? They have no charm. He doesn't have a charm. He's just this. And then Dasharatha doesn't say anything. Dasharatha just asks them to stop chanting these shlokas. I'm not in that mood right now. And then Kaikeyi asks to bring Rama here. And then Rama, people go, they call Rama that, your dad is calling you, come. Kausalya gets super excited. Kausalya is maybe now you're gonna be the king, she hugs, kisses, she does all the cute things, and she says, your dad is calling you, go. Rama also smiles, is excited. Rama along with Lakshmana, he comes and he sees his dad like that. He cannot digest the fact that his dad is so devastated. His dad is like this. He asks, what has happened? What has brought you to this state? Dasharatha says no word. He has zero words to say. Then Kaikeyi says, it's because of you, Rama. It's because of you that your dad is like this. Then Rama is like, what? If I have done this, if my dad is feeling bad because of me, I will do anything in my whole power to make him happy, to bring him to the state that I am used to seeing him. Then Kaikeyi says, yes, there is something that you can do that will make your father happy. Then Rama says, yes, I'll do it. Kaikeyi says, give me your word that you will do it. Then I'll say, I'll even give my life if that's gonna make my dad happy. Then Kaikeyi says, you have to go to forest for 14 years and Bharata is gonna be king and you have to leave now. And then Rama just looks, he smiles and he says, for this, Dasharatha is so sad. He could have just asked, he could have just said me one statement, I would have left.
Yeah.
For this, he's so upset. Why? Why is he so upset? And also he says, Amma Kaikeyi, I didn't know that Bharata wanted to be king. If I knew that Bharata had thought like that, I would have never accepted to be the king. Bharata is so close to me. I love Bharata so much. If he had even a shadow of a doubt, if I had that Bharata wanted to be the king, I would have let him be the king. And then I'll leave. He then has to go to his mom, convince his mom that I am not going to be the king now. Someone else is going to be the king. And not just that, I have to go to forest. When Kausalya goes, when Rama goes to Kausalya, she's so happy. She's like, now come sit on this golden throne. You have to sit here. And then she's trying to do all the respectful deeds because now he's the king. Rama has no heart to say. He can't sit on the throne because he's not the king. So he just touches the throne and he says, I am accepting all your hospitality. He just touches and he says that I'm accepting all your hospitality. He tells Kausalya in the background, Lakshmana is so furious that when all of this is happening, Lakshmana is just quiet because his brother is there. Front of his brother, he cannot say because his brother is the older one, right? He has so much respect for his brother. the sheer conversation between Kaikeyi and Dashratha, it brought tears to my eyes. And when Kausalya and Rama, even their conversation, it bring me like it brought tears to my eyes. And then he goes to Sita, and then Sita, Rama says, "You stay, I'll go. Like, you take care of Kausalya, you take care of this, that, this, that, this, that. Now Bharata is the king. You have to do this, you have to do that, blah, 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 blah." He goes on with his monologue. And then Sita says, "Rama, everything is okay, but you're saying you take care of them as if I am not coming with you. Like, why do I sense that in your tone?" Then Rama says, "There's a lot of thorns in the forest. There are wild animals in the forest. It's not easy. Like, it's hard." Then Sita says, "You're telling me that my husband can't protect me from the tigers? Did my dad marry me to a woman? Like, are you a woman? Like, aren't you gonna protect me? Like, wherever you are, I'll be there." And then Sita is willing to make that sacrifice, and she comes. And then...
No, but also look at the way she says it. Like,
Yeah.
it's like when like my dad is going out for the trip, and then we'll have to go to this temple, and it's very far away. We have to drive for a long time. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ನಾ ಬರೋದು ಬೇಡವಾ? ಏನು ಅಲ್ಲಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಲ್ಸಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ವಾ? ತಿಂಡಿ ಕೊಡ್ಸಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ವಾ? What's the big deal in that? It's just like, it's the... And that's the thing, right? Like, when you grow older and older, you can see more of your people, like the people around you, in these characters.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty. I feel we will relate to Dashratha way more when we are fathers.
Yeah.
Right? And it's just like, that's what I was saying. The way that they're timeless, and the more you grow in life, the more you will realize.
Yeah.
And every time you read it, you will discover something new.
Yeah.
And you will find one character wrong. But maybe when you're a father, or if you were a mother for once, and then you will relate to Kaikeyi more
Absolutely.
then. Right?
Absolutely.
And because there have been times where our parents have been selfish for us. Right? And you will realize that, okay, that makes sense. And continue. And then
The thing is, Vaishakh, Rama is more human. He took a place in my heart that I don't think anyone can take that, Vaishakh. The reason being that this entire Ramayana came into picture when Valmiki asks Narada, "Is there a man in this whole world?" He gives a list of 16 gunas, meaning the 16 nature, like 16 characteristics. Is there a human in this world right now that I can see who has all of the 16 characteristics, out of which one is that one who has a patience as much as the Mother Earth has. The one, when he is furious, the gods fear him. Like, there is 16 things that he says, and Rama has displayed all of those 16 traits, Vaishakh. Like, Rama's entire life has been struggles. Like, there is never a phase, except when he was a kid. The Balakanda phase of Ramayana is the only phase where he is at least happy. Like, there is never a phase in his life where he got to experience the luxuries. Right? He went to forest. Even in forest, Sita is next to him. He says, "Sita, since you are here next to me, we are witnessing this nature. This is the best time of my life." Like, Rama literally says that, saying that this is the best day of my life because I'm witnessing such beautiful things with you next to me. That's why when Sita is taken away from Rama faints so many times. Like, any beautiful thing he sees a beautiful mountain. When Rama sees a beautiful mountain, he says, "If Sita was next to me, it would have been so beautiful." Like, if Sita was next to me, he's just whining, he's just crying. That's so human. Like, your soulmate, that who's been with you, the only reason that you're happy in this, like, in this entire roller coaster ride of life, he's taken away, and he's so low, Vaishakh. He's fainted. Like he's fainting so many times in so many situations. He's just like there, like, sleeping. Like, that's how much of a human he is. And also Hanuman, right? That character, that is not what a lot of people think Hanuman is. Like Hanuman is something very different. Like when we talk about Hanuman, we just say that he's very powerful. Like he can grow in size. He's a superhero. Right? Like that's the notion that we have. Hanuman in this entire Ramayana Vaishakh, when you take the entire, like all the kandas, and if you sum all of that up, and in this entire Ramayana, Hanuman speaks only 5 times. I'm just saying this roughly. Number might be, but you understand what I'm saying. He speaks only 5 times. Hanuman is a scholar in 9 grammars. They say that Manojava Maruta Tulya Vegam, like the speed. And then Jitendriyam Buddhimatam Varishtam, meaning in intellect, no one can come close to Hanuman's intellect. And then Rama's Dhuta, right? The first time Vaishakh, when Rama and Hanuman meets, so in Valmiki Ramayana, Valmiki introduces characters. He introduces them so beautiful. You should just listen to Ravana's introduction from Valmiki's standpoint. So glory. Like, you should just listen to Valmiki describe. He describes any character. But for Hanuman, he doesn't describe. Because Hanuman never talks. The first statement that Hanuman says in Ramayana, the first introductory line, like his introductory line is, "Why are you scared?" Like that's the first statement Hanuman says, and that sums up all of the Ramayana. Like Hanuman, he says Sugreeva, he sees two people walking into the forest, right? Rama and Lakshman, they're walking, and Sugreeva is afraid, like what if that's Vali, like someone has come to kill him. He's so like scared, he's jumping, he's acting like a monkey. Then Hanuman says, "Why are you afraid? Like there is no reason for you to be afraid. It's all hypothetical situation that you're thinking and you're being afraid." He says, then Sugreeva says, "You go in, you change your shape, you turn into an old monk, and then you go to them, and then you see, are they threat or are they our friends? You figure that out and you tell me." Sugriva also says, "Face me when you're doing that because I want to see your expressions. If I see threat, then I'll run away from here." Hanuman, in his entire course of life, he has never pretended to be someone else, and that's the first time he ever did. He never changed his shape or anything to hide or to do something, right? He never did that, and that's the first time he did. And when he sees Rama, when he sees Rama for the first time, he just throws off the cover. He just becomes his true self. Like there is some connection that established when he sees Rama, right? Rama doesn't look like Rama to Hanuman. He looks like Lord Vishnu, where Lakshmana are his other 2 hands. So he sees Vishnu with 4 hands. Like that's what Hanuman sees. And there is something that happens internally in Hanuman. He starts talking. He starts blabbering so much, Vaishakh. Like Hanuman talks like a monologue. He says, "You guys look so beautiful. Your arms are like so strong. You guys don't look like sages, but you guys are dressed like sages. You guys must be kings somewhere. You guys look like you guys have the strength to rule the whole world. Like what are you guys doing here? Why aren't you talking to me? I want to hear your voice. Can you please talk to me?" Like when you're overwhelmed with something, you keep talking, right? Hanuman never does that. For the first time when he sees Rama, he does that. He says, "Why aren't you talking anything? Please talk something. I want to listen to your voice." Then Rama just looks at Lakshmana. He says, "Lakshmana, just look at this guy. Just look at this guy. When he's talking, if an enemy even has a sword, he'll throw the sword away. Like that's how beautifully he's talking. And when you see the tone when he's starting to the tone when he's ending, it's the same. That means he's a scholar in Samaveda, which talks about music, right? And he says Rigveda. He takes few statements and he says that someone who is a scholar in Rigveda can talk this way. So he just gives a brief description of Hanuman to Lakshmana. So in Valmiki's Ramayana, every character Valmiki describes, Hanuman's introduction, Rama does. Like Rama says about Hanuman. So Hanuman is not just a god of strength. If you pray Hanuman, your intellect is gonna grow. Like there is Like there's so much in him that not a lot of people know.
Yeah, and it's actually, we just see him as an angry fighter who will
Yes.
just destroy and
Yes.
right. And but the thing is, like you mentioned, and he of course is extremely knowledgeable as a god. And the thing about Hanuman as well is that from day one, basically, he went to go eat the sun, right? And as a kid, so Hanuman as a character is extremely curious, extremely smart, extremely educated. And why would someone want to just serve Rama for life? Like, there must be something. And Hanuman, being extremely smart, he saw something in Rama, and that's why it all happened. And in the Rama Hanuman dynamic, you can see the relationship of two best friends. You can see a relationship of a guide and a, like someone who's mentoring you. You can see someone who is trying, someone you're trying to help, you're trying to be with someone when they're suffering. And so it's, you can think of Hanuman as a very wise human being, and there's a lot of brain behind that brawn. And like you were saying, like uh, a lot of there's a belief, at least in the Hindu culture or whatever, if someone stammers, they tell you to chant stotras of Hanuman and go to Hanuman temples and all of that. The reason being what you just said, the way he speaks, the Vedas and all of that. And it's very common, like if you stammer, they'll tell this stotra 100 times a day and Hanuman will help you with that. So that is the reason behind it. There is that Hanuman character to help you with your quest for knowledge and all of that, right? And Hanuman also, I feel like if you compare him to your life, it feels like sometimes in life we feel that we have done so much or we've learned so much. What was the point of it all? The point of Hanuman's life, being so smart, being so powerful, being talented in all these ways, all of it, the point of it was Rama. Like, the purpose of his life became clear when he found Rama. And that is what I feel will eventually happen in our lives as well, where we feel we will find our Rama eventually. That Rama might not be a person. It can be like become
Your anchor.
Yeah, you doing music, or you writing, or you finding a job that you really like, right? That is your Rama, which you will basically carry in your heart, right? And just the beautiful story there. And you were talking about Rama's suffering, and like the time in his childhood was when he was happy. And it's just that then, like you mentioned, Sita not being there, and it just feels like, how can fate be so cruel, right? And that's when you start to respect his compromises more as well. And I think a mistake that we do, it's not a mistake, but we idealize gods, and we should idolize gods and all of that. But what if we saw us in them and how we would feel? And that's the thing, right? Like, when I was a kid and my dad would work day and night and come home go in the morning at like 9 o'clock and come at like 10:30 and work and sacrifice his social life, his time with his wife and his mother and family and all of that. As a kid, we would say that, hey, he's a father, he's meant to do that. And even when we see Rama, hey, he's a god, Uttama Purushottama, he has, like you told, he has all of these 16 characteristics, and he is the ultimate man. He should, that's nothing, but he is not the ultimate human being because he faced all of them. Because he faced all of them, he became the ultimate human being.
Absolutely, Vaishakh.
Yeah, and then he goes into war, and in war, imagine you lose all your friends. His brother almost dies. Imagine that situation where you are in, where you've lost your father, you've lost your wife, you're losing a war, and the only person who stood with you all throughout this time was Lakshmana, and he almost dies. Just imagine seeing your brother die right in front
Lakshmana
of you.
is not just a brother to Rama. You know what? When Bharata goes to visit Rama in the forest to ask him to come back and take the throne, so Bharata brings the news that Dasharatha is no more to Rama.
And
Then-
with the Paduka, right?
Yes, yes. And then he does all the rituals that a son is supposed to do when a dad passes away. He does all of that, and he says that Lakshmana, your dad is no more. He says you have no dad now. And then he turns to Sita and he says your father-in-law is no more. And Rama says, I did not lose my dad because Lakshmana, you are always there for me. You are like a dad to me. Like you have, like no matter what happens to me, you will always be there for me. You will take the place of my dad. So I have a dad. It is you who lost the dad. Like their bonding is so tight, Vaishakh, that like when you listen to Ramayana, you'll understand that Lakshmana, he cannot live a single day without looking at Rama. Like his is Bhakti Marga. In one of the yogas of reaching God, Lakshmana is the Bhakti Marga. He need to do puja. He need to wash feet of Rama. He need to give towel. He need to bring him food. Like he need to look at Rama. Like that's Lakshmana's path. And Lakshmana need to do that. Once Rama to test Lakshmana, he says, Lakshmana, why don't you go back? Like the path is so hard in the forest. Why don't you just go back to the kingdom and be? Lakshmana says, okay, if you want me to go, I'll go. When I'm walking, as far as I can see you, I will be alive. The moment my body can't see you, I will leave this body. Like Lakshmana says that. And then the way how Rama reciprocates is that if Lakshmana is not next to him or around him, Rama cannot sleep.
Yeah.
Like sleep is such a internal factor, Vaishakh. When you're not able to sleep, that means something is bothering you so bad that you're not able to sleep. That's the bonding they had, Vaishakh.
Yeah.
And imagine, like you said, that seeing your brother in that state.
Yeah, and like Lakshmana didn't sleep throughout the entire 14 years that they were in Vanavasa, just so that Rama could sleep and his sister-in-law can sleep. And I don't know, it's just fascinating where it's love, it's like you told, devotion, and just the
sheer experience
yeah.
that they have been through. It's, I mean, of
and
course
even
you
as
lose.
like when they were younger and they went into war together,
Yeah.
and they fought the demons together and all of that, and basically they're just the way that they've both been together, and it's just for someone to put all of their interests behind. And like Rama and Lakshmana both got married on the same day, and then like Lakshmana sacrificed being with his soulmate just so that he could take care of his brother and sister-in-law, right? And just the sheer number of sacrifices made by him, and yeah, it's just beautiful to hear that love of camaraderie, of brotherhood, and yeah, it's just fascinating. And then to see that in your brother, and then and then Rama then comes back, and when he's back, he has to lose Sita one more time, and again, it's a compromise between what would my wife feel and what would everyone else. Do I put the kingdom above my wife? And I feel when I was in my younger days, I would tell that, hey, obviously your partner should come first. How can you? But now I feel as I'm older, you can start understanding the compromises we all make. And this is actually something that I thought about yesterday night, of what could we possibly talk about. And it's beautiful that we started discussing the Ramayana, because it all makes sense if we see Rama as a character. There are two things in life, I feel. One is making peace with something, and the second is compromising. They both might sound the same, but they're actually very different. So if we are recording in this studio right now, and there is another studio just 5 minutes away from us, and they are much better, and they may be like a little more expensive, right? Then if you choose this over that, then you're compromising. I feel like you can definitely do better, but you did not do it, then you're compromising in life. Like how we in our careers, like if you don't try and you settle, then you're compromising. But then there's a second thing, which is making peace with something. Like you realize that I can't have Joe Rogan's studio right now. If you have that as an expectation, it's not a compromise. It's like, oh, I could have booked Joe Rogan's studio, like right next to him I could have done. But it's okay, I'll compromise. And that's not what's happening. With where we are in life, with the cards that we're dealt with, and with whatever we have right now, we're making peace with something. I feel adulting is complete. It's just making peace with what we have.
Yeah.
And it's not compromising, right? And if now that like I'm going to do a master's in business analytics, which is more of a tech course or a business course or whatever, right? And as a 13-year-old or a 15-16-year-old, I wanted to do film studies. I wanted to go completely into theater. I feel like that when I had an opportunity of doing theater, right, and if I didn't do something, then that would be a compromise. But now I have found something else, which obviously I will not enjoy as much as improv or theater or something, but it's still something that I like and I can grow in. So I'm making peace with that right now. And when we think of the Ramayana, Rama had to not only make a lot of compromises, he had to make peace with a lot of things as well, right? And it's so hard to make peace with the fact he's the crown prince, and what we can learn from Rama is his beauty and his selflessness, his empathy into just understanding the other people around him and making peace so fast. We find it so hard to make peace with, like, I wanted to go to this restaurant and it's booked out and I'm not getting in. We can't make peace with that. Like, but him being the crown prince, you can't be king anymore. And and he makes peace with that instantly. Like, it doesn't even
it's not
think
even
about
matter to him.
Yeah, he doesn't even think about it. And that's the beauty of him. And that's why, like, I feel the Mahabharata is more timeless in terms of, like, family politics. It's a drama and you see a lot of these things. You can observe it from a more outsider's view, and you can observe a lot of characters, and you can think of how the story could have been and whatnot. But Ramayana is way more personal. It's way more personal because as you grow older, you will see the son, the father, the mother, right? You will see the brother, you will see the best friend, you will see your enemy, you will see your comrades, everything throughout it. And when you look at what all compromises each of the characters did, what are the tough decisions which each of them had to make, and what are the things they had to make peace with, right? And it's just fascinating, like Sita and then being kidnapped, and seeing Jatayu, who was her best friend during the days in the forest, him die for you right then and there, right? And it's absolutely fascinating, man.
It's called Sitayat Charitam Mahat. Ramayana is called the story of Sita. Like, that's Valmiki Ramayana. Valmiki literally says that it's the story of Sita, because Rama, he has all the gunas. They say, what's the word? Sakala Gunabi Rama. So that's the phrase that they say to show that he has all the gunas, the natures in Rama. There is a scene in Ramayana where Rama will ask Lakshmana and Sita to go hide, where he alone, he kills 16,000 Rakshasas, 16,000 demons in the span of 1 hour, 10 minutes. Like, that's how much of a scholar and an expert. He is in archery. So so they say that in Valmiki's Ramayana, see, we take Valmiki's Ramayana as the base because I trust Valmiki, because he has a blessing from Brahma that when you close your eyes, when you imagine Ramayana, whatever feelings that a person has felt, you're gonna know the feelings as well. So when we're saying that Sita is a pativrata, she has not had a single change in the feelings internally. Forget externally. Internally, that Valmiki would know. And Valmiki beautifully, he says things unbiased. He says things without any bias. When he's talking about Ravana, he says all the capabilities and good things that Ravana has without any bias. He's not like, Rama is the good guy, so let's show Rama in the good note and let's show Ravana. He doesn't do that. So when Rama fights 16,000 demons, right? When you're looking at Rama, you don't know if Rama is fighting or not, because that's how fast he's moving his hand, taking the bows, and he's pointing and he's leaving the arrows. So when you're looking at Rama, the movements are so fast that it looks like Rama is standing, but you have to look at his opponents. If they are falling down, that means Rama is fighting. It's like Shiva's Tandava, when Shiva is actually destruction, right? Like when he's doing that Tandava, which means it's destruction. That's how ferocious Rama can get, Vaishakh. When you just listen to that fight, the action sequences that come in your in your imagination, that's how strong and capable Rama is. When he's saying Kaikeyi that for me to go to forest for 14 years, he's feeling sad. Rama looks so naive, incapable. It looks very soft and unmanly, right? When Rama takes his bow and when he's standing, there is no god that can come and stop him. Like, that's how powerful he is. And Rama, when they're talking about Rama's glory, But Sita, Vaishakh, Rama came from his mother's womb. He took birth as a man. But Sita didn't come like that. Sita, she is the direct incarnation of the Shakti. Like, she is the consort of the masculine energy in nature, right? She comes directly. So when Janaka Maharaja, when he wants to do a yagna, Sita directly comes, right? And he says that, so Sita is, they say she's Ayonija, which means she is the supreme Tripura Sundari. We say that, right? Like the supreme goddess. Sita is that. And when Hanuman, that advert devotee of Rama, like when he goes to Sita, that process is described as a sadhaka who is on a path of God realization. Hanuman is the yogi and Sita is the goddess. And the process of finding the goddess, that process, it's called sadhana. Like, they take that metaphorically, Vaishakh. Hanuman is going to witness the goddess, to seek blessings in his sadhana. So that's the process, right? So when Hanuman goes, and when like that process, like, I'm gonna sidetrack a lot if I go there, but the point that I'm trying to say is that when Hanuman goes and sees Sita for the first time, he thinks about Rama and he says, Rama, this is all your fault. Like, how could you stay away from this person for that long? Like, that's how much furious Hanuman gets at Rama. When Sugreeva becomes king, it's rainy season. So Rama says, until rainy season ends, you don't have to take the trouble of searching my wife Sita. 4 months Rama was suffering in the cave, but he didn't disturb Sugreeva because he let Sugreeva enjoy all the luxuries that he was missing. So he says, how are you sane? Like, how are you away from this person? And he says, Rama, internally he's talking to himself. He's saying, Rama, no matter what you say, I'm giving 1 mark extra for Sita. Hanuman, who is the advert devotee of Rama, he's saying that Sita is 1 step above Rama, because every now and then, while fighting Asuras or Rakshasas, Rama's eyes will turn red. But Sita Devi, she's staying in a place, she's surrounded by Rakshasas. She has no one to share her problems with. forget someone, like nobody is listening. For that long she's suffering. All the people, they're just waiting to rip her body parts out and eating. And every once in a while this guy comes with 10 heads. He says your thighs are like elephant tusks, your, I mean, I can't say that, but he's saying your private parts are like this. He's describing you vulgarly. Who wants to have like physical experience with you intimately, and there are Rakshasas around, you feel you are so in such a helpless state. She is deprived of everything, Vaishakh. When she's sitting there under the tree, she's deprived of everything, but her eyes are still black. Her eyes are not turning red, which means her patience level is so much that if Ravana, even after doing all those atrocities, if he would have come in a moment, if he fell at Sita's feet and he said, please forgive me, Sita would have forgiven Ravana. That's how much of a bigger person Sita is. Like, to talk about Sita, I don't think I am eligible. I feel like I'm not eligible to talk about that personality.
Yeah, a woman's grace, man. And again, like, I feel when we connect this to our own family, I feel like how our mothers forgive us no matter what we do, the amount of patience they have,
Yes.
right? And despite anything that we do, and like in your
also, Sita is called the Shakti, meaning the mother of everybody, right?
yeah. Like Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara, they were born out of Adi Shakti. So literally she is the mother of everything, right? And it's the beauty in that, and it's the woman suffering, and that's what I feel like we don't speak of Sita's suffering enough. And but yeah, the amount of things she had to go through, and especially like after going through all of this, like you mentioned, after Rama and Sita are both crowned king and queen, she has to leave Rama again for another 14 years. And throughout that time as well, the amount of grace she has throughout, despite her suffering, raising two very young capable boys and not harboring any negativity for Rama throughout that. And it's not right for us to say that you should be like Rama or you should be like Sita. It's not right for me to go and tell my mom or a friend of mine that you should compromise, you should be this way. Like, our moms have compromised a lot, I feel. And but I am in no way, like you mentioned, eligible to go and tell that, yeah, it's your duty, you have to sacrifice. That is not something that we are in a position to say. But and I feel like to each one his own, and that's why it's timeless. Like, it's impossible for us to be Rama, and it's impossible for anyone to be Sita. But what
it's the pursuit.
Yeah, it's just that knowing that there were people who went through something that was far worse, and how did they deal with it at that time? How can you learn to forgive? How can you learn to love? How can you learn to live? Right? And that's the most beautiful thing about it completely.
It's also the contrast, Vaishakh. Like Ramayana is stark contrast. I'll tell you how. Sugreeva makes friendship with Rama. Because Rama, he understands the pain of Sugreeva when he says that forcefully Vali has taken his wife under his how do I put this? I don't know how to frame this. Like, Vali forcefully takes Sugreeva's wife with him, right? But that wasn't the case with Sugreeva. When Vali was presumed dead, he didn't force Rumi to be Vali's wife. So there is a dharma in the Vanaras that if in the king sect of the Vanaras who do the Sandhya Vandana, which means the daily ritual that they do spiritually, who do that, they have this tradition where if the king dies, then the wife of the king with consent, if she is okay with it, then she can marry brother, though the husband's brother, only if there is consent, because she's king, right? Like there's gonna be a lot of shame, suffering, there's a lot of thing that comes to a widow, and it's like he's willing to protect. She needs a protection in case, then he is gonna protect her. So that's there, right? So that's dharma in their sect. So Sugriva in that aspect was on the side of dharma, and Rama takes the side of that, right? Rama and Sugriva makes friendship. Vali and Ravana are friends. Vali and Ravana, did you know that? Vali and Ravana were friends, right?
Yeah.
So Vali was so powerful that he defeats Ravana, and then he just toys around with Ravana like easily. And then they make a pact that Ravana and Vali makes a pact that Ravana and Vali, they say that anything that we find beautiful, we just take it. If force need may, like we take by force if needed. And first I'll enjoy it, then you enjoy it. Like we both will share and we'll enjoy that. That beauty thing could be a person, could be a god, it could be a physical thing, it could be anything. When you see Ravana, nothing is his own. Everything is stolen. The Lanka kingdom was Kubera's. He defeated Kubera. Kubera is Ravana's brother. So he defeated Kubera, he took Lanka. And then Pushpaka Vimana was given to Kubera. When he defeated Kubera, he snatched that. So every single thing that is there with Ravana, that's not his, that is snatched. And so is Vali's. Vali and Ravana both are similar in an aspect where they wake up in the morning and they want to show their strength. They'll go look for people that they can fight and beat them to death. Like that's their daily routine. They'll go to a mountain. They'll be like, if they have no one to fight with, if they see a big mountain, they'll just crush that entire mountain to dust. Like that's to show their strength. Like that's what they do on a daily basis. And Ravana made friends with Vali. Vali and Ravana are friends. Rama and Sugriva are friends. So the stark contrast of how their friendship is, the way how they talk, the way how they're... See, Rama was with Sugriva when Sugriva needed the most. Like they make a promise on fire that, I'm going to be your friend no matter what. And Sugriva holds true to that when he brings his army to help Rama, right? There's a stark contrast to how, like, Vaishakh, like when you listen to Ravana actually wakes up in the morning at 3 o'clock. In the Brahmi Muhurta, he wakes up. The first thought that he gets is Sita. He thinks of the Sita and he's turned on. And he's turned on and he's walking. He wants to go to Ashokavana to see Sita. And all the women who experienced pleasure with Ravana that night, they wake up with him. They're trying to set their clothes who's like half open, and they're holding alcohol and they're going behind him. And then he goes to Sita and then he talks about that. Rama wakes up in Brahma Muhurta. He wakes up at 3 a.m. No matter what the climate is, he does Sandhya Vandana. He does all his prayers and then he does all his rituals. So you know who you are. Like when you wake up in the morning, you know what you're doing. And Valmiki doesn't have to say that if you do this, you're Ravana. If you do that, you're Rama. You know. Because when you wake up, are you doing the things that Ravana is doing or are you doing the things that Rama is doing? Ravana always wants confirmation bias. Ravana always has a feeling and he wants all his ministers to say that he is right. He wants everyone to say that, you know what, you're right. Even before Yuddhakanda, when everyone, he brings everyone that, there is war that is coming. And everyone knows why. Because he brought Sita forcefully, who is the wife of a man who follows dharma. And then Ravana, he brings all of his ministers and he talks to them. He says that, problem is here. What do I do? All the ministers says, Ravana, why are you worried? Like, you can just forcefully have pleasure with Sita. Like, who is stopping you? You are the god. Like, you are superior to everybody. Why are you scared? Like, what you have done is right. Like, everybody says that. Only one person says that he is wrong. Vibhishana says not just once, he says thrice. And the third time, he just bursts out and he says angrily, he says, what the heck are you doing? Because of your mistake, the entire race of Rakshasas is gonna end. Like, you're not understanding the magnitude of this problem. Then Ravana says, you are my enemy in the skin of a friend. And then he says such mean things to Sugreeva. Sugreeva is a Dharma Murti, man. Like he...
Vibhishana, you mean?
Sorry. Yeah, Vibhishana. So the same boon that Ravana received, even Vibhishana receives boon from Brahma. Ravana asks that nobody can kill me except man. Vibhishana also asks a wish. He says that no matter what happens, I should always side with Dharma. That's the wish. So Vibhishana asks, and see what Ravana asked. So Vibhishana sides, right? Vibhishana says, then Ravana says mean things to Vibhishana, and then Vibhishana then says, you are older one. Like he folds his hands and he says, you are the older one, you are like a dad to me after dad. So if you feel that I am the cause of your unhappiness, I will leave this kingdom right away. And he just leaves. Then he comes to Rama. He's standing there. He says, Rama, I am so-and-so brother of Ravana. I'm coming to you. He says, Sharanagati. He says, I am surrendering to you.
Yeah.
Then everybody discusses, like, should we let this guy in or not? Maybe Ravana already took he came as a sage when he kidnapped Sita. This might be Ravana. Like, we cannot be sure. So then, in case if he comes, he might infiltrate the army. He might know all our secrets. So this is the crucial time, right? Sugreeva says that. Then Angad says that. Then the wise man Jambavanta says that, see, the time is very crucial and the land is also crucial. We are in enemy's land at war time. Let's not take risks. Everybody saying all their things that they want. Then Rama asks, Hanuma, what do you think? Until asked, Hanuma is not saying. Then Hanuma very politely says, I'm not saying that to disagree everyone. I'm not saying to condemn anyone. Here are my thoughts. Beautifully he says why we should let Sugreeva in. So then he listened. Vibhishana in. Then he listened to everybody. Rama says, see, he said he's surrendering to me. Even if that was Ravana, I would still let him in. Because he said he's surrendering to me. If someone comes to me and says that they're surrendering everything to me, then I will, no matter what, even if that might be enemy, I would still give him the benefit of the doubt and I would shelter him.
To forgive, yeah, that's the thing, right? And I mean, I don't think any of us would do this in real life, where if someone, our enemy, came and they told in school, like, he's not a good friend. Like, we do not know how to forgive as human beings. And that's the thing, right? And the beauty of the Ramayana is that despite it being so idealistic, like Rama being such a perfect human being, Hanuman being so knowledgeable, like you just mentioned right now, Hanuman is so smart, he has so much knowledge, but he does not speak until he is asked, right? And what does he speak? And he doesn't, even though they have so many ideals and they are so idealistic, none of these ideals are shoved down your throat. Nowhere does Rama come and tell you, be like this, I am following Dharma, you should also be like this. Or Hanuman comes and tells, I am like this, so you be like this. Whereas who are the ones forcing that? Ravana, I feel like this, all my ministers, you should feel the same way, right? It's the villains who have that and who want validation, who want their names to be chanted, who want you to praise them at all times. The ones who are right barely even ask for, like, he says, Sita, don't come, and Sita comes. He tells Lakshmana, don't come, Lakshmana comes. Like, all of them have good ideals, and like the way you told, right? When Ravana wakes up, he behaves like this, and when Rama wakes up, he behaves like this. These ideals are internal, they're intrinsic. We can obviously, us as regular human beings, we can learn, we can try to be better and all of that. But we will not become more idealistic by shoving our ideals down someone else's throat. Like, if I believe that in the morning I wake up and I have to pray and this is my this is the way I find God, or I'm spiritual or whatever. I can, if I go down to other people and tell even this is how you should wake up. And that is why I feel like we resent like our grandmothers or even our parents when they force something down us, like when they force us to like don't cut your nails on a Tuesday or whatever, these ideals or shastras or whatever, when they shove it down is when we feel we don't like it as much.
Revolt.
The right way to look at these human beings is they're so beautiful because these ideals are internal. And when these characters, the main characters of the Ramayana, who are so perfect, they don't go and shove their ideals down someone else. So like when Kaikeyi tells Rama go to the forest, he doesn't be like, you as a wife should not be like, none of that. Who are we as human beings to come and shove our ideals down someone else? Who are we to be like, I am the protector of Rama, his ideals are like this, you follow, right? Who the hell are we, right? To that makes no sense. Like who the hell are we to protect these people? And that's the thing about the Ramayana, is that despite everything, learn to love and learn to forgive, right? But the way we see it, we see Ramayana in terms of so much intolerance, where right always won. Like right did not win because it defeated evil. Like evil lost to right. That's what happened. Like right didn't have to do the right doings. It didn't have to do anything. It was just right. Like if the being ideal and being a good human beings were just good human beings. It was the evil people who lost. Rama didn't have to do something external to come and defeat evil. Evil just had to realize that it was wrong, and evil lost by itself. The very nature of evil is that you will lose to good. Right? And with this being the scenario, like we take the ideals of these people, carry it out and try to shove it down other people's throats, tell like, yeah, this is how Rama is. Yes, Hanuman, angry destroyer, protector of Hanuman I am, and all of these things. Learn from it, to be compassionate, to love, and spread the story so that these ideals become intrinsic. You don't have to force anything down. Our father, they made the choices because of who they are. It's not that someone else came and do this compromise. Yes, you have to work in a small town hundreds of kilometers away from your family for a few years. That's your duty as a father. Nobody came and told that. This was a choice that they made intrinsically. My mom to leave her job when I was born to take care of me, and to go through a lot of fights or injustice or whatever you can call by my grandmother, just for example, right? And or a lot of the other things, she had to give up her job, and like all of these things are compromises, but these are things which she made internally. It came out internally. Nobody else had to come. And that's the beautiful thing, a woman's grace or a mother's grace, where all these ideals are intrinsic. And we have Rama, we have Sita, we have Hanuman in us.
We also have Ravana.
We also have Ravana, right? And that's the thing. We cannot choose one day, wake up one day and choose to be Rama, or wake up one day and choose to be Ravana. The characteristics that we exhibit are intrinsic, and we need to be mindful of that. And after we are mindful, we can decide, okay, I'm being more of a Ravana today. Let me try to be more of a Rama tomorrow. And that's all there is to it. That is the way. It's not like you can't force ideals down someone else. And nowhere in the Ramayana has Rama told be like this or do like that, or Hanuman told So like, who the hell are we to protect them and tell, yes, Rama told this, yes, Hanuman told this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the part that you told where maybe today more of Ravana qualities were presented by me today. So tomorrow let me try to be more of a Rama. You told that, right? That's a very internal thing, right? I think the thing that you told, shoving your thoughts over someone else's throat, rather than that, you do that internally.
Yeah.
You work on yourself. So
Yeah.
that's what you're trying to intend, right?
Yeah. The ideals, you try to intrinsically bring out these ideals through yourself, right? And it is true in life. Like, let's say I had a bad habit of smoking, for example. This is something that I will not stop smoking if 100 people come and tell me, you stop smoking, you do. No, maybe I'm displaying a Ravana characteristic, but intrinsically, when I realize that, hey, I might not be doing this, is not good for my body or something like that, and I stop, it happens. And this is what we need to realize. And it takes time and we need to be conscious, but there ಒಳಗಿಂದ ಬರಬೇಕು. That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah.
I think it all comes down to that. I was just thinking about this concept of faith, Vaishakh. So even on I'm doing this series on Bhagavad Gita also, right? So previously I was in that episode, I just came out and flat out said that I've always tried to make logical sense of Bhagavad Gita, in a sense where I'm trying to say that in a way where people who don't believe in God, it should make sense to them as well, because it's pure philosophy. But then at the end of the day, without faith, nothing actually makes sense. Because see, when I'm making a phone call, I'm just making the phone call because I have faith in the technology. Because I know that the call will be connected, even though I don't understand the process of how the call goes or how the actual process of me talking to someone over the phone takes place. Even though I don't completely understand it, I still have faith on the system of technology or science. So even when you're, no matter what, you're still putting your faith into some institution, even though you know or you don't know. So if you are trying to point out flaws in Ramayana, no one is stopping you. You can do that. But there is nothing good that comes out of it for you. So when you're looking at the story of Rama, where you want to get some good out of it, where you want to develop your life and make it a better place for you and people around you, then Ramayana is the place for you. If you want to do finger pointing, if you want to find flaws in that, then that's not gonna help you in any ways. It's gonna give you a false boost of ego and illusion that you are right or you might be smart than someone else. Eventually that trait is not going to lead you anywhere. So this has upside, that doesn't have an upside. So it's better to invest your energy and faith into understanding why this might be right, rather than pointing out flaws and trying to figure out why that might not be possible.
Yeah. And that's exactly, like, the thing is, if you have an ideal, and like my ideals are different from yours, what might be right for me might be wrong for you, right? Instead of wasting time of telling what I think is right, you should also think that's right. And there's a song by Frank Ocean called We All Try, and it's basically a song where he says that we are all trying to find something to believe in life. We just try to find faith, and our life is a continuous quest to find something to believe in. There are times where something that we believe in completely betrays us, right? And like our best friend who I completely believed in, they will turn their back on us, and right, we lose our faith sometimes, but we always try. And there's a line where he says, which is like, I believe in a woman's temple, but baby don't abort, is what he says. Where he says that he believes that...
Who are you talking about?
He's a singer called Frank Ocean.
Okay.
He's one of my favorite artists out there. But it's a very simple line where he says that I believe in a woman's temple, but baby don't abort. Meaning, he is telling that a woman has a complete right over her body, which is what he believes in. There are like people who believe that a woman should obey what the man tells, or they should follow what the man tells her to do. But no, he says that no, a woman has complete right over her body, and she can decide to do whatever she wants with it. But if you have a baby, please don't abort it, because I don't like abortion. That is his faith. That is what he's believing in. Someone else might believe differently. Someone else might say that, like, you can abort a baby, like, I have no say in that. Or someone says that no, you should not abort. Life started the day the egg was fertilized. You have all
Different
of these
schools of thoughts.
Yeah, and they're all faith.
Yeah.
And the way he so beautifully breaks it down, where it's so simple. Like, I believe in a woman's temple, but don't abort it, is what I feel. That is his ideal, that's his faith, whatever. But he's not shoving that down someone else's throat again.
Yeah.
It's something that's intrinsic. And secondly, like you just said, instead of trying to tell everyone what we think is right, if we instead of that try to understand the other person's ideals and reflect more on our own, like, am I right in doing this? That is much more productive and much better use of energy as well.
Also, rather than going through someone else's narrative, good or bad, you put in the time and effort to read it yourself and try to understand it yourself.
Yeah.
The reason why I'm saying this is, Vaishakh, whatever I spoke today, it's purely based on emotion that I have and the feelings that I have for Rama, Sita, Hanuman, and the Lakshmana, the entire Ramayana, right? That's not even 0.00001% of the entire Ramayana, what I spoke. It is so vast, so beautiful. It talks about Shakuna Shastra, which means that intuition-based theories. Theory? Shastra? Studies. Yeah. Intuition-based studies. And then there is Vastu Shastra, meaning Vastu, how you do it.
Yeah.
And there is a lot of like battlefield tactics. There's a lot of psychology. There's a lot of art of talking, art of speaking. So in whatever perspective you want to read Ramayana in, it's going to help you. It's like YouTube. Like, there is so much of things out there, and you look for a specific content. There's so much of education in that particular field.
Yeah.
So I don't know if this example stands to my point, but basically what I'm saying is, no matter which perspective you want to see Ramayana in, it's gonna educate you in that way, and there's always an upside to this, is what I'm saying. Let's try to be better humans, and that's the end of the day, that's the goal, right? Let's try to be better humans. If these are the tools that's helping us be better humans, then why not invest time, effort, money into that?
Yeah. And it's not just like you mentioned Vastu Shastra or all of these Shastras or these emotions or these topics of knowledge that are embedded in the Ramayana. Obviously, every time you invest your energy into it, you will learn something, right? That is one thing. But the second thing is that you will always have something to fall back on. I'm feeling like this. What would Rama do? What would Lakshmana do right now?
Yes.
So you can just fall back and try to empathize with those characters, and also feel like, hey, Rama only felt like this. He got through, even I will. Or he also felt like this. I am also feeling
the emotional
like
support and reassurance that you get.
Yeah. You will learn something, but you will always have something to fall back on.
Absolutely, Vaishakh.
Yeah.
This is not how I imagine our conversation would go. But trust me when I say this, Vaishakh, this is so far the best conversation I've had on the podcast. I'm telling you, the reason being that I'm talking from my mouth, but there is so much of internal things that's happening when I'm saying this. It's very profound, Vaishakh. Like, whatever we spoke today, whatever you said, I'm going to remember that, like, for a really, really long time, because absolutely true. Whatever you said, every single word of it. And on a closing note, what would you like to say, Vaishakh?
I always think that stories are what make humans human. Like you told, stories can teach us, stories can give us something to fall back on, and something that I equally value a story is a story with is a storyteller. And now whenever I think of the Ramayana, I'll think of Sankarshan Joshi, the passion in which he spoke. And I learned so much today. And there is one thing to read the Valmiki Ramayana like that, but to have someone else understand something of their own and to explain that as well, that is really, really like beautiful to hear. And that's why I will value the storyteller just as much as the story. And yeah, like we have stories to fall back on, we have friends to fall back on, and that's where it is. And when we revisit our stories again, we'll have so many more things to talk about and a lot of other new perspectives, and we all grow and we all try.
I thank God for letting me have this conversation with you, and having you as a friend is a blessing. I don't think I've ever told you this, because there's a lot of the times that I think about you but I didn't tell you.
Yeah.
So our relationship is very different, and I really appreciate that, and I really value that, and I cherish that. So yeah, I think at the end of the day, Ramayana is a story of a man who lived on this earth, and let's look at it that way, and whatever we can learn, let's learn. And yeah.
And let's try to be Rama's best friend, or a person who understands him for his sufferings and for what he teaches us, rather than his protector and his, that's just what I feel.
Staunch defender of his beliefs.
Yeah.
That's about it, Vaishakh. Jai Shri Ram. Thank you guys for listening, and thank you, Vaishakh, for being here. Always a pleasure to talk to you, and looking forward to more conversations like this.
Yes.
So,
next
bye, guys.
guest. Our next guest, Hucha Venkat.
The segue, Vaishakh. The segue from Ramayana to Hucha Venkat. Nice. We started there, we're ending there. So we're closing the loop. Nice.
Alright.
Bye-bye, ladies and gentlemen. Take care.
A Sankarshan Joshi trip.